hash function to map large number of data into a smaller table. And what is the complexity to retrieve any data?
Of 1.
It is big O of 1. So it is comparatively better than which searching techniques which you have learned before? Which other searching techniques?
Linear binary.
Yeah, it's better than linear search and binary search, which entirely depends on the number of elements. Okay. So, what do you mean by hash function? हैश फंक्शन का मतलब क्या है? स्क्रीन पे ही है. हैश फंक्शन किस लिए यूज करते हैं? What is the purpose of
It
hash
is a
function?
type of function which will help us in storing the data into the smaller table.
Yeah, so you are going to apply that function on the key so that you get an index where you have to store the key value pair, right? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
है ना? So normally arrays में कैसे है? You store it sequentially, one after the other. अगर index 0 में data है, तो the next data you will store it at index 1. And then you will go to index 2. So you're going to go sequentially one after the other in the case of arrays. Similarly, in a linked list, you will, you know which the next node is going to point to the data where it is going to, where you can find the next data. So both has its own disadvantages and advantages. So you using hash table, which is an associative method of storing data, where you're going to store data in the form of key value pair. How you are going to store the data is by means of hash function. So you are going to apply the hash function on the key so that you get a unique index where you are going to store your key value pair. And normally we use hash modulo the size of the hash table. So which type of hash function is this? We have learned different types of hash function. So which is the normal hash function we are going to apply here? Different types
Modulo
of hash.
hashing.
Yeah, you're going to find, apply the division modulo hashing technique here, where the hash value, the key value is going to be applied, or you're going to find the index value by applying a modulo function based on the length of the hash table. So you can see an example. Can you see a piece of code here on the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what does this mean? It's since your A group assignments has to be done in Python, what is the line one? What does the line one say?
Creates a list of non data type.
Non data
10
type
non-data type.
10 of 10 size. Okay, and you're printing the hash table, so you can see every 10 locations is assigned the value none. Okay. Yes, and then you want to apply, you want to insert a value. So how will you insert a value? You will apply a modulo function on that value based on the length of the hash table. So if you can see, if I want to place 10 and my hash table size is 10, so where will the 10 value be placed at? की वैल्यू 10 है, हैश टेबल का साइज 10 है, तो वो वैल्यू कहाँ पे प्लेस होगा?
0th index.
0, because 10 modulo 10. Then if I want to place 20, where will it get placed? Yes, 20 साइज 10 है, तो कहाँ पे प्लेस होगा?
0th index link बनेगा उसका.
Yeah, it will be also. So there'll be a collision. Fine. 25 है तो you can see the code here and the output. 25 है तो
5th index.
it will be placed in the 5th index. ठीक है. So now there's an example here if you can see. Like if I want to place 77, 77 modulo 7, it will be placed in the 7th index, right? So when you're doing an insert function, it will be something like this. You're going to define. So how do you define a function in Python? You write def, the function name, and inside that you're going to store the key and the value. So how are you going to calculate the key value? Where it has to be stored? You find the hash function of the key by applying the hashing function. So we know how to find the hashing function. We have written the function for that, key modulo length. So based on that, you get the hash key value, and that hash key value is going to be the index of your hash table, and there you are going to store the value. So suppose I call the function insert 10 Nepal. So I'm going to find 10 modulo 10, that is going to give me index 0. So I will it will place Nepal in index 0. Can you see it? Can you all see the code? Have you all understood it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
मैम एक
Okay.
बार फिर से एक्सप्लेन कर दीजिए प्लीज.
अभी देखो ये क्या है, definition. आई एम डिफाइनिंग अ फंक्शन कॉल्ड insert in Python. ठीक है. And क्या क्या पास कर रहे? The hash table which I created here. You can see here. I created a hash table here. Okay. And I'm passing the key and the value, and finding the hash key based on the hashing function applied on the key. ये hashing function क्या है? यहाँ पे लिखा है it is key modulo length of the hash table. देखा? Can you all see it?
यस मैम.
Yes. ओके. तो वो अप्लाई करने के बाद मुझे हैश की मिलेगा. दिस हैश की इज गोइंग टू बी द इंडेक्स ऑफ द टेबल. देखो 77 मॉडुलो 10, तो 7 इज द इंडेक्स. तो हैश की इज गोइंग टू बी द इंडेक्स. तो अरे है तो इंडेक्स कहाँ पे लिखते हैं? स्क्वायर ब्रैकेट के अंदर. तो हैश टेबल का 7th इंडेक्स में हम वैल्यू स्टोर करेंगे 77. So suppose I'm going to call the function. अभी ये insert function I'm going to call it. And what are the values I'm passing? I'm passing the key as 10 and the value as Nepal. So 10 का hashing value क्या होगा? Hash value after applying hashing index
0.
0
0.
होगा. तो नेपाल will be stored in the 0th location. So output देखो बाकी सब जगह none है, सिर्फ 0th index में नेपाल है. देखा? Is it clear?
यस मैम.
अभी समझ में आया सबको? Is it clear? Yes, students.
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody in the session, doubt है क्या कुछ? Clear? I want to
Yes,
hear
ma'am.
the point. Okay. So now if I want to search a data, अभी बताओ. अभी insert function तो लिखा है. Search function कैसे होगा? मुझे वैल्यू 14 सर्च करना है, तो कैसे करेंगे? How will you do it?
The value to be searched, just we will pass the value to be searched, and using hash function we can retrieve it.
Yeah. So what you are going to do is, यहाँ पे जैसे हमने insert function लिखा है, we'll write the search function and we'll pass the key to be searched, and on the key we'll apply the hash function, and we will retrieve, we'll print the value stored in that particular index, and if that value is equivalent to the key which we are searching, then the element is found, else it is not found. समझ में आया क्या?
यस मैम.
यस. अभी हमने ये ऑलरेडी किया है. For those who haven't understood, अभी सर्च फंक्शन देखो, मुझे 77 सर्च करना है, तो कैसे सर्च करते हैं? पहले 77 मॉडुलो 10, तो 7 है, तो 7th इंडेक्स में 77 है कि नहीं देखते हैं. अगर अवेलेबल है तो फाउंड, नहीं तो 0 और नॉट फाउंड. Is it clear? Yes. Now is it clear?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay. Now how do you remove an element? The element is going to be the same way. Suppose I want to remove 22. 22 modulo 10. तो index क्या होगा? 22 modulo 10. Index कौन सा होगा?
2.
2. तो 2 index में 22 है कि नहीं? Is there a value 22 in index 2?
Yes.
So it is there, right? So if it is there, we will remove that element and we'll put null over there. समझ में आया क्या? Is it clear? Have you understood the insert, delete and search operation? Yes, students. See, suppose I insert 22. 22 will be inserted here. Suppose I insert 57. Where will 57 get inserted?
At
7th
index
index.
7.
Okay, it will get inserted at index 7. Now suppose I want to insert 89. 89 will get inserted at which index?
9th index.
Yeah, it will get inserted at 9 index. Now suppose I want to search whether 55 is there. So 55 अगर है तो कौन से index में होगा?
5th index.
Fifth
5.
index.
Yeah, 5th index. But 5th index में value है क्या? नहीं है. तो not found. But अगर मैंने यहाँ पे 57 सर्च किया तो 57 modulo 10 is going to give me 7. So 57 is there. Element is found. Now suppose I want to delete an element. I write 89 and I say remove. So similarly 89 modulo 10 9 हो गए and the element is removed from the index 9. अभी समझ में आया क्या? Is it clear? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So these are the basic functionalities of the hash table. Now, yes. Now, what do you mean by collision? Next is collision. What do you mean by collision? Collision का मतलब क्या है?
A collision
When we
occurs
try to
if an
insert an
element to be inserted is already been occupied.
Yes. So when you are trying to insert an element and there is that particular index already has an element, then you can say a collision occurs. Okay. Example यहाँ पे दिया है. What is the example? Like if the table size is 10 and I want to insert 74. 74 modulo 10 is equal to 4. Means 74 should be found stored in index 4. But index 4 में क्या है अभी?
14.
Index 4 में 14 है तो collision has occurred. So this way there is a tendency in hash table for collisions to occur if if the table size is small or the data is already stored there. So what are the different collision resolution techniques we have studied in class? Any idea? Different collision resolution techniques याद है किसी को?
Open address, separate chaining and open addressing.
Yeah, you have separate chaining and open addressing. Separate chaining is also called open hashing, and open addressing is also called closed hashing, in which we have linear propping, quadratic propping and double hashing. Clear? Is it clear? Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
students. Okay. So yes, that is done. So what is separate chaining? So what do you mean by separate chaining is like जैसे यहाँ का example देखा हमने like 14 is already stored in index 4 and I want to store 74 also. So I will store 74 as the next node of 40. है ना? That's how separate chaining works. So if there is an example here to show. See, you can see 77 is already stored in index 7 and I want to store 87. 87 will be stored as a next node to 77. Dekha? Yes? Can you see it? Yes, students?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's how separate chaining is done. That means it will be stored as a chain to the that main home bucket. Like if I want to store now suppose 67. So 77 is linked to 87. 87 will be linked to 67. That's how separate chaining works. So you can implement it in this way. Can you see the piece of code here?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, so what is happening here? Hash table is created and an empty list of 10 range 10. That means you are creating a hash table with empty list of 10. So you when you print it, you can see the output is line number 4. Can you see it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and now suppose I want to insert the data. So how will you insert that? Sorry, how will you insert the data? You will apply the modulo function on the key, and that key is that hash key is going to be the index of the hash table where you are going to store the key. So instead of putting equal to sign, so यहाँ जहाँ previously हमने equal to sign लिखा था, देखा line number 3 में, can you see it?
Yes, ma'am.
So equal to sign में कैसे क्या होता है, जो previous data है it will get replaced by the new data, but in separate chaining, as you all know, it is getting linked to the existing data as a separate list. You are going to write the keyword append. Can you see it? Can you see it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, समझ में आया क्या सबको difference? Students?
Yes,
Okay, so you see when I call the insert function, Nepal is getting stored here, but if I suppose I insert in 20, I'm writing hash table 20, say China, again that will be stored as a next entry in the same index. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's how separate chaining works. And open addressing. Open addressing कैसे कोई बता सकते हैं? How open addressing works? Can
We
somebody
put
tell
the
me?
element in the next empty index.
in this we just store if the addresses or if the collision occurs, then we try to find the next immediate or some using some other function. We try to find the next empty index.
Okay, so if it is quadratic propping, how will you do it? Linear propping is index plus 1. So if it is quadratic propping, any idea?
Key plus I square modulo
Yeah,
hash tables.
yeah. It will be I square plus index. Okay, so instead of going to the next available location, you're going to take the square of it. Fine. So have you all understood the concept of open addressing? Yes, students?
Yes, ma'am.
समझ में आया क्या सबको? So linear propping, I'll show you in the virtual lab. See, linear propping concept we can see. Suppose I'm going to store 57. I'm going to insert. So 57 modulo 10, 7 index. So 57 is inserted in the 7th index. Now tell me what about 67? Where will it get inserted? If I want to insert 67
index.
in the hash table. Yes?
Eighth index.
Yes, it will be inserted in the 8th index. Why? Because in the 57, the collision occurs and then it goes to the next available index. So hash plus I modulo 10. वैसे है. And what about searching? Like suppose I want to search 22. How will the search be done in linear propping? कैसे होगा search? It's going to be the same way. They go 22 modulo 10 equal to 2. So 22 is not there in the index 2. So the element is going to be printed as not found. But suppose I want to search 67. So how is going to search work? First 67 modulo 10 7 index, but the data is not same to what I need. So it will go to the next index. And if it is found, it will print element found. Is it clear? Yes, students? Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, clear.
Suppose I want to delete कैसे होगा? अगर मुझे 67 डिलीट करना है तो कैसे होगा? कोई बता सकते हैं? I want to delete 67. The method is going to be the same, but can somebody tell me?
First, it will find 67 on index 7. If it is not there, then we'll go on like linear search to search 67.
Yeah. It will go to the next index available, that is hash plus I modulo 10. So it is 8. So let's see it in, it's going to go 67 modulo 10 7. So it is not there. Then it goes to the next index and the element is removed from that. So this way linear probbing works. Now, yes. Now tell me, just tell me where these elements will be stored in the hash table. I want to store 1 and the table size is 10. So where will value 1 get stored?
At index 1.
Okay, at index 1. ठीक है. Then 21.
Index 2.
Index 2, because index 1 already has value 1. So it will be stored at index 2, 21. 75.
Index 5.
Yeah, 75 will be stored at index 5. 33.
Index 3.
Yes, index 3. 41.
Index 4.
Yes, 41 is going to be stored at index 4. And 45.
Index 6.
Okay, 45 is going to be stored at index 6. So is it clear now, everybody? Have you all understood linear probbing? Yes, students? समझ में आया क्या सबको?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we have something called quadratic propping also. Like suppose if anybody wants to do it using quadratic propping. So suppose I want to insert 67. It will be inserted at 7th index. Now I want to insert 87. So where will it get inserted?
8th index.
Yes, it will go to 8 index because I value is going to be 1. I into 1 into 1 is going to be giving me 1 itself. So it will go to the 8th index. Now suppose I want to again store 97. So where will it go? Just go see how the process is going on. In 7th index collision is happening. Then when I becomes 1, 87 collision is happening. Then I becomes 2. So 2 into 2, 4. So hash value plus 4. So you get 97 stored at index 1. Is it clear? Understood quadratic propping? Yes students, समझ में आया क्या?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is how it is to be done. Is there anybody who's not understanding? Please let me know. समझ में आया क्या सबको? Yes students. Everybody understood? Or you want me to call out the names and ask? Understood? संदेश समझ में आया क्या?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can you explain the quadratic one again?
See, quadratic one, I'm going to insert, just see the right hand side. Can you see the right hand side?
Yes, ma'am.
See, I value पहले वहाँ 67 में collision हुआ, I value का 1 हुआ तो 87 में collision हुआ, then I value 2 हो गए, तो hash plus, hash का value क्या है 7, right? Hash plus 7 plus I into I. What is I into I? 2 into 2. So instead of going to the 9th location in the case of linear propping, we are taking a square value here. So 2 into 2 is 4. So 7 plus 4 is 11. So first index. Yes. 11 mod 10 gives you 1. So first index. समझ में आया क्या?
Yes, ma'am, got it.
Okay. So this is how you do a quadratic propping. Linear propping and quadratic propping code तो same होगा. Linear propping it will be hash plus I. In quadratic propping it will be hash plus I square. ठीक है? Is it clear? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Now suppose, okay, we'll do an exercise and see. Okay, now tell me where will you store these values? Okay, wait. Okay, tell me where will you store all these values? 82 is going to get stored. 82.
8th index.
Second index.
Second index, no? 63.
3rd index.
Third index. Third.
41.
1st index.
First.
99.
9th index.
Ninth index.
Okay. 94.
4th index.
Fine. And 45.
5th index.
No collision in this case. Let's see another question. No more collisions are there. Fine. So this is all straight forward stuffs. Okay. Now coming back to the collision technique. So now how are you going to implement the hash table? So hash table depends on the size, how much size you want, and that is the maximum size. So the capacity of the hash table. So it wants a capacity that will decide how big your internal array will be, and then the buckets, that is the internal array. So each bucket is initialized as null, as you all can see here. So that is the hash table, and each node of the hash table, because you are going to, in the second assignment, you're going to do separate chaining. So kaise hai, you have a hash table where you have home bucket, and each home bucket is going to be linked to several nodes that is going to be similar to your linked list. So each node will have a key value pair and a pointer to the next node. Dekha, can you see it? Yes? Yes, students, can you all see the code?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you are going to create a hash table and a node, hash table node initially. And yes, how do you insert a value into the hash table? You increase the hash table size, and using a hash table has function, you calculate the index of the key where you have to place the data, and then create a node and add that node to the index if the bucket is empty. Why is saying if the bucket is empty? Because then that is going to be the first node to be inserted. Otherwise, there is a collision in this particular index. So you have to link it to the already existing node. So if there are plenty nodes, you will traverse that linked list on from the home bucket to the end of the linked list and place the new node there. So that's how it works. I'll repeat it once again. How do you do separate chaining? You are going to store the data into the hash table. So first you have to, what you have to calculate the hash function and where you're going to store the key, and you're going to create a new node, and that new node you are going to place it to the index bucket if it is the first node to be inserted, else there is a collision. So you have to traverse the linked list from the home bucket until you reach the end of the linked list and you add the new node. In the case I'm talking about separate chaining. Is it clear? समझ में आया क्या? Yes, students, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
What about others? If I get the
Yes, ma'am.
PPT, those who have forgotten the hash chaining, see, can you see my screen now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
See,
ma'am.
I'm going to insert 132. So 132 is if it is the initially the index 2 is empty, so 132 will be placed over there. Next, when 182 comes, it will be chained to 132. That means 132's next node is going to be node 182, and you can see each data is stored as a node. That is why we used a node, and this is going to be your hash table, and each hash table has an internal array which is going to be the bucket, and each home bucket is linked to a set of nodes which is going to be represented as a linked list. Okay, so that is why they say, that is like, if you also remember, you first create array of linked list with hash table size, then you create the node. See here, you create the node, you find the hash key, and if it is null, then you place the data into that particular location, else collision occurs and you have to insert the key at the end of the chain. So you place it in this format. Now remember, Yes, students? Understood?
Yes.
Hmm? So that's how it has to be done. So that is the insert operation. Then to find, you can see again you're going to use a hash function, calculate the index, and you navigate the bucket until you find the key or the list end, and you return if the node is found, else you return none. So that is find operation. And delete is also going to be the same. To find the index, you first compute the hash for that key, you iterate for the nodes until you find the node or you reach the end of the list. If you don't find it, you return null, otherwise you return delete the node from the linked list. So that's how separate chaining works for assignment 2. Any doubts? Have you all understood this? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I've given you sample. So if you want to go through the virtual link, I'll share you this particular page. So you can access it in the comment. Okay, and yes, and link to the source code is also given. I have put it here. So you can see, can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so as I said, you're going to create a node with key value and the next node as none. Then you create a hash table with capacity, size, and the buckets are initialized. Then you calculate the hash key value, and here you insert the value. And if it is none, you insert it. Otherwise, you have to go traverse until you get the end of the list and then you insert it. If you want to find it also, you're going to do the same way. First calculate the hash and you traverse it as per the index got, and if you find the data, you return found or the value, else you return null. And if you're going to remove it, it's going to be the same. So in the main, you create an object for the hash table, then you ask the name and the telephone number, you insert it, and there are different functions that has to be done: insert, search, and delete. So if it is choice 1, you insert name and telephone number. If it is choice 2, you search for the name and retrieve the data. Choice 3, you delete the data, and else it is an invalid choice. So this is assignment 2. So I hope you all have understood. Any doubts?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Are we supposed to use the classes and objects for both the assignments?
Um, yes, they have not specified anything like that, but since we are, you've learned object-oriented programming, it will be better you can use it because they are expecting you to use C++ in other assignments, right? If you
Yes,
want,
ma'am.
you can use it because see, in the first assignment, I haven't used it. You can see it's not used in the first assignment. You're creating the hash key, you can see it here. Then find, can you see?
Yes.
And in insert, see, you are finding the hash value, and if it is not empty, you find the um, hash key plus 1. So which collision technique we are using here? If the table is not empty or the bucket is not free, I'm finding hash key plus 1. So which collision technique am I using here?
Linear.
लीनियर प्रॉबिंग. ठीक है. अगर क्वाड्रेटिक प्रॉबिंग होते तो क्या होगा यहाँ पे? It's a small change. Here I've written hash key plus 1, or because the I value is always going to be remaining 1. So if it is quadratic probbing, what would I have written here? Yes, students.
Plus I square.
It should be I square and the I value will be incrementing. ठीक है? समझ में आ रही कि नहीं everybody? Yes, have you all
Yes,
understood? Okay, and
Yes,
yes,
ma'am.
that is there. Then you can see delete function here. So I have implemented everything using the logic of linear probbing here. Okay, so only thing is when you want to use quadratic probbing, you have to change this I plus hash key plus 1 to I square, hash key plus I square, and you have to increment I. Rest everything is the same. You can see in the main asking for the insert, delete, and this. So in this particular code, I have not used class and objects. I've directly used the functions and called the function in the main. In the second assignment, I've used class and objects, and that is used for separate chaining. And the first assignment, I've used linear probbing. Okay? Is it clear? Yes, students. Are you all with me?
yes, ma'am.
So I have posted, see, in this website, I'll be posting all the assignments, whatever we do in the class. So A1 and A2 is done. The theory part is being posted. If you want to go through the virtual lab, that link is also provided. Source code is also provided, and some of the recorded lectures are also provided here. So you all can use this as a reference for your revision, and I want you all to submit your assignments here. So I hope you all have joined the link which I've shared in the chat, and here I want you all to submit. So B4 has to submit both the assignments before tomorrow 11 o'clock, 11 p.m. tomorrow. Okay, and similarly B1 batch 8 have not submitted the first assignment, and second assignment has to be submitted. Clear? Yes, students, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So please complete the assignments, and if you have any doubt, please ask. Have you all understood?